first graders. My name is Mrs. Budash, and I am going to teach you a social studies lesson on goods and services. This lesson can be found in your learning packet for the week of May 11th. I am a first grade teacher, and I teach at Lansdowne Elementary School in Baltimore County. I'm so excited to be here with you today, so let's get started. So our objective for today's lesson, students will examine different goods and services in order to identify and list goods and services found in their community. So if you notice, I have two words highlighted in blue, goods and services. That's because those are our important words for this lesson, and hopefully by the end of this lesson, we'll understand what they mean. This word community is highlighted in orange because that's our vocabulary word. So we're going to talk about that on our next page. So to get started, we are going to brainstorm. I want you to think about these two questions. What are some places in your community, and what do they sell or provide? Now, if you notice, I have that vocabulary card for community right here. So remember that community is a place where people live. This is a picture of Baltimore County because we all live in Baltimore County because we go to Baltimore County Public Schools. But within Baltimore County, there are smaller communities. So think about the places where you live and think about what stores or places are around where you live. Where do you go to buy things? And think about what do those places sell or what do they provide you with? So take a minute, you can pause if you would like. Take a minute and think about that. So now that you've thought about different places in your community, I want you to think about what stores or places you would go to get each item or service. So in your learning packet, the first section is called motivation. So go ahead and get your packet and you can write with us as we go. So our first picture, this item is pizza. Where would you go in your community to buy pizza? I know in my community, I live really close to a place called Maria's Pizza, and I love to order carryout from there. Write down the name of the store in your community where you would get pizza. Our next item, this is a picture of a shoe. Where would you go to buy shoes or clothes? I love to go to Target to get all of my clothes. Where do you go? What store do you go to? Our next picture is a picture of a haircut. Now this is a little bit different because I noticed this is not a picture of an item. This is actually a picture of a service. So where would you go to get your haircut in your community? I go to a place called Bubbles Salon in Towson Mall because it's close to where I live. What is a place close to where you live? And our last picture, this is a picture of a car wash. So what place would you or your parents go to get your car washed? I like to go to Royal Farms because I can get gas and a car wash at the same time. So think about the different places in your community and write down the name of them. So people buy things from many places in their community. All of the things that we buy are either goods or services. Let's talk about what goods and services mean. Goods are things that people can touch and use, like a pencil or a bike. Services are actions that people do for you, like cutting your hair or teaching. If you want to read more about goods and services, there's more in your packet. So go ahead and take a minute to read about them. So let's grab our learning packets, and I want you to write down your own definition of a good and a service. So our first question says, what is a good? Write down the definition of a good in your packet. The next question says, what is a service? We know services are different than goods, so go ahead and write down what a service is in your packet. Our last question says, what was the last good or service you used? So some examples. A good could be food from a grocery store, or a service could be paying someone to deliver you food. Maybe you thought of a different example. Go ahead and write it down. You can pause the video if you would like and take a minute to write it down. So now that we know the definition of goods and services, I want to read you this short book. This book is called Good Job, Ben. This book can be found in our Wonders Reading Writing Workshop. In this book, it's about a boy named Ben who goes all around his community and he meets people doing different jobs. So while we're reading, I want you to think if you've seen examples of any goods or services. Let's get started. Good job, Ben. Ben and Mom head to town. It is a big trip. There is a lot to see. Ben and Mom will get on the bus. The driver stops on this block. Good job. So let's stop. Do you notice anyone doing a service on this page? I noticed the bus driver. She's providing a service by helping people get from one place to another place. Let's go on and see where else they go. Ben and Mom cannot cross yet. Stop, stop. She can help them. Big job. I noticed somebody else providing a service. This person is helping them cross the street. Do you have somebody in your community that helps you cross the street? Ben and Mom walk past. 6 men use a drill and fill cracks. It will look new again. Wet job. So on this page, I notice construction workers. And construction workers provide a service by helping fix things in our communities. Ben and Mom step in for bread. Ben sniffs. It smells good. Mom gets 10. Hot job. So on this page, I notice the baker. She's providing a service by baking all of the food in the bakery, but she's also selling goods. So the bread that they sell in the bakery, that's actually an example of a good. Or the cake over here, that's another example of a good. So food is actually an example of a good because it's something that people can touch. Ben and Mom get Jet. Jet licks Ben. The vet helped Jet get well quick. Pet job. So a veterinarian, that's an example of somebody providing a service because they help keep our pets healthy. Ben and Mom stop in for books. Ben can get help from Miss Glenn. Glad job. So at a library, the workers are librarians, and they are providing a service by helping us find books. What did Ben get? What has he read? Ben read books on jobs. Good job, Ben. And I notice on this page that Ben is holding books. Books are an example of a good because it's something that you can touch and use. So friends, I hope you liked that book and we saw many different examples of goods and services. Let's go on and keep learning about goods and services. So let's look at an example of a community map. So on this map, I notice a lot of different buildings and a lot of places, and they all sell different goods or provide different services. So let's take a minute and see what we notice on this map. So the first place that I notice is the post office. The post office has workers, we call them mail carriers, and they provide us a service because they deliver mail to our houses. Remember that a service is an action that other people do for us. Oh, some more places I notice are a tire store and a toy store. Those stores, they provide goods because they're selling objects and I can touch them and use them. Some more stores that sell goods are a candy store and a shoe store. So a lot of different stores in your community sell goods. Just remember that a good is an object that you can touch and use. Oh, another place I noticed is the library. The library has workers called librarians, and they provide us a service because they help us find books and they let us borrow books. So they're doing an action for us. Another place is a fire station. Their workers are called firefighters, and their job is to help keep us safe. So again, they're providing us a service by keeping us safe. The last place I noticed is a grocery store. The grocery store sells goods. Did you know that food can be goods too? I go to the grocery store to buy things like apples and cereal. Food are goods also because I can touch them and use them. So let's go back to our learning packet, and now I want you to think about your own community and think about the places in your community. So we're going to write down the name of the places that you can go to buy each item or a service. Okay, so our first one is chicken nuggets. Where is a place you can go to buy chicken nuggets? I thought about McDonald's. Maybe you thought about that, or maybe you thought of a different place. Our next one is a haircut. Where could you go in your community to get a haircut? One example I thought about was Haircuttery. What's the name of a place in your community where you go to? Our next one is a video game. What's the name of a store you could go to buy a video game? One example I thought about was Walmart. I go to Walmart to get a lot of different goods. Did you think about that, or maybe you thought of a different store? Okay, our next one is popcorn. I thought about a movie theater. Did you also think about a movie theater? Or maybe you thought about a store. Write down the name of the place in your packet. Next, where would you go to get your teeth cleaned? That's right, the dentist. Write down the name of your dentist. Next, where would you go to borrow books? A library. So we all live in Baltimore County, so we all would go to a Baltimore County public library. And last, where would you go to buy gasoline? One place I thought of was Royal Farms because it's right next to my house. But is there a different place close to your house? So friends, take a minute and think about the places in your community. Write them down in your packet. So the last thing we're going to do is check our understanding and see how well we can tell the difference between a good and a service. So in your learning packet, underneath of what we just wrote, we're going to sort each item into either a good or a service. So the first one is chicken nuggets. Should we write that under the goods column or the service column? Now remember, goods are things you can touch and use and sometimes eat, and services are things that people do for you. Chicken nuggets are a good because I can touch them and I eat them. Getting my teeth cleaned, that's a service because somebody does it for me. Video games, that's a good because again, I can touch it and use it. Gasoline, that's a good. Just like video games, I can touch them and use them. Borrowing books, that's a service because somebody helps me do it. Popcorn, that's a good. And the last one, haircut, that's a service. Awesome job, guys. So let's remember, goods are objects I can touch and use, like chicken nuggets or video games. And services are when you pay someone to do an action for you, like cleaning your teeth or cutting your hair. So friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun, and I really hope you understand the definition between goods and services. Have a great day, guys. Bye.